Remember, our message was, now what? Now what? This is what we're coming to now. Because we now decided and said, God said, well, now what? He said, since I've made the decisions to actually do what I'm supposed to do, I'm going to look back and say, I'm not going back to that. Because see, you had me bound in it, and I couldn't obey God in that. I made a decision. Now that I made a decision, I'm not going back to that. Because I'm now allowing my circle to become full. And this circle is going to come full term. And to bring me to my place of fulfillment and what we call maturity. Why? Because maturity means that you learn how to love right. You learn how to not allow nobody to put you in bondage. You learn how to, because maturity is that. That is what maturity is. That is what maturity is. Now let's move on to the next one. And then we'll be, I think we have one or two more, maybe. Another one we have is what we call love and forgiveness. Love and forgiveness. Love and forgiveness. See, because when we don't forgive and we don't operate in love, it keeps us bound to realizing the nature of our spirit and heart that's not right with people. And it causes us not to want to do the things of God because our spirit and our heart is not right. And we know it. Anybody whose heart and spirit is not right, they know it when it's not. So when that's the case, it causes you not to want to obey God because you think, well, God, I know my heart wicked. I know people see it. So you start struggling with yourself about your own spirit and heart. So now, watch this. You might say, and we're talking about this place of coming to the now of where we are. Watch this. Why are we talking about these? All these are necessary because that's what we came out of as His people. So it's reminding us, put in remembrance of what you come out of. Don't go back to this unforgiveness thing. Operate in love correctly because you've come out of this place of unforgiveness, but you've now come into this place of forgiveness and love. So now that you come to this place, you now say, because I've decided to make this decision, I'm going to love everybody. I can be a fool, I can be a doormat, but I'm going to love everybody. And love, we understand, does not mean you have to be up close. Love means even from a distance. Okay? I can love you, but I may have to run with you. So now, being that's the case, love and forgiveness is key because it had a lot of these people bound where they couldn't actually operate in things of God. They couldn't. We have another one, and that is many of His people needed to rededicate their life to Him. Because many were in a state of basically almost being backslidden. And needed to rededicate their life. But in rededicating their life, that rededication needed to come in two major forms, which was Christ Himself. Second one is prayer and the Word. Many fell away from prayer. Many fell away from the Word. Many fell away from just having that relationship with Him to the point where they was almost in the backslidden state. They needed to just rededicate their life to Him. And in rededicate, that means they need to get back to this place of the Word. Get back to this place of prayer. Get back to in this place of actually tending the things of God. Because many of the saints actually backed off of that and was back almost in the backslidden state in that degree. So they need to come back to a place of rededicating themselves to the things of God or working in the things of God. Tending services and Bible studies and those kinds of things. Rededicate themselves in that because you can get relaxed in those things. So, but He's saying, in bringing yourself full circle, you understand that this word, this prayer, this church service, and these events and Bible study, and your ultimate place of just rededicating your life is important. Why? Because that's a part of your full circle. You're not coming forth haphazardly. You're going to come forth right. So that means that is the place of fulfillment. And the last one we have is this. And that is a renewed mind. Many of His people battle in their mind too much. And He's saying that you've come out of this place. So guess what? You've come out of this place. You've come out of this place of your mind being in this constant war. Being in a constant war. But guess what? Being that your mind is in this constant war, this is the thing you have to understand. In your mind being in this constant war, they become this area. Well, guess what? I'm determined that I'm going to renew this mind. I'm determined that I'm going to renew this mind. Why? Why am I going to renew this mind? I'm going to renew this mind for this ultimate reason. Because I understand that when I struggle in my mind had me at a place where I couldn't function. And I'm no longer going to do that. I'm no longer going to do that. No longer will I do that. No. See, God said the question is this. We come to this place. We come to this place. And we come from the place that we looked at last week, and we looked at the place, the Nike, and Just Do It. And then we come today, and we're in this season, in this place now. And we're in this place now where we're saying, okay, I have made a decision to just do what I'm going to do, or need to do, and what you told me to do. I'm going to do it. See, we all have come to this place. This is where we are now. Really, this is really where we are right now in the body, for many of us people. See, we've come out of all these struggles that we've come out of. And we're not in this place where we're saying, I think the message title, which is the message title that says, now what? But then the secondary part of that, under that was what? Stick with your decisions and don't ever waver again. Stick with your decisions and don't ever waver again. Why? Why God said that? Why did God say, stick with your decisions and don't ever waver again? Because remember what we're saying. God's trying to bring us full circle. And this full circle, bringing us full circle, is bringing us to what? The place of what? Fulfillment and maturity. And that is so that we can come to this place of coming to this place of fulfillment and maturity, so that when he does it, it becomes what he's saying, you now can come forth in a manner in which I see fit. But when you receive your full new season, you fulfill this circle in a mature manner. But guess what? He's saying, stick with your decisions. You done battled and battled and pondered and considered 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 and battle and battle and battle and battle and battle and battle and battle. And God said, then finally you made up your mind. And so I'm going to make this decision and do what I need to do and do the things I need to do for you, God, for the kingdom, to live for you, to live for the kingdom and do all the things I need to do. Now we've come to this place and we're saying, now that we've come to this place, I've made my decision. We're saying, now what? Now what? Now what? Now what? No longer are we going back to this place of struggling and battling in our mind about decisions. Because he's just said here, stick with your decisions and don't ever waver again. All these things we've been battling with as us people, and struggling with and battling with and struggling with and battling with and struggling with and battling with, and we now say, no, I'm going to shake this mess off my mind. Shake this mess off my mind. I'm not going to struggle with this thing no more. I'm not going to battle with this thing no more. I'm no longer going to battle. I'm going to do what you say, what you call me to do, God. I'm going to do it, God. I'm going to do it, God. I'm going to do it. Everything you're telling me to do, God, I'm going to do it. So now we come to the place, we make the decision, and God said, and then we're now saying to God, now what, God? He said, no, go back to that. Because I'm trying to bring you to this place of maturity in this for a new season. Because look what it says, is your decision are bringing your circle, are bringing you full circle. Full circle. From the beginning point, all the way around this circle. And everything that God's told us to do, that we struggle with in the beginning, wasn't doing because of different things we struggle with in our mind, in our spirit, in our emotions. But now we're shaking it off, and we got free. And we now make decisions to obey. Let this circle keep going, rotating and rotating and rotating and rotating and rotating and rotating and rotating to come back to the full circle. And this is the place of fulfillment and maturity. Why? Because he's saying in this place right there, when you let this circle come all the way back around, now this is a place of fulfillment and maturity. And when your season comes, you're going to be able to handle your riches, your anointing, your gifting, your calling, the vision, the revelation I give you, handle everything I give you. Now now is not the time to make a decision and then change your mind. Now is the time to make a decision and then make up your decision, make up your mind, make a decision, and actually stick with your decision. Because he says, stick with your decisions and don't ever waver again. Don't ever waver again. Don't ever waver again. And we are now in this place where God said to us, stick with your decisions. Stick with your decisions. Stick with it. Stick with it. At all costs, stick with your decisions. Make them. God said He's been dealing with us and telling us what to do, how to do it, when to do it. We struggled in the past and didn't do it, and we procrastinated and danced and struggled and disobeyed. And God said, no, you got to shut that off now. You shook it off yourself. 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 You shook it off yourself and you became free. And so I made a decision to obey you, God. Stick with it. What a decision is and how quick He said make it, make it. Make the decision. Because today marks the day where it's time for us as His people to go forward. It's time for us as His people to go forward in the things He's called us to do. No longer for the time for the waiting, no longer the time for the procrastinating, no longer for the time of the pondering and considering and talking ourselves out of the prophetic things that God has spoken through individuals, or even God has spoken to Him, even from Himself to us, that we even talk out of ourselves. Even what God is telling us, we talk ourselves out of it. Even when someone speaks prophetically, we talk ourselves out. No longer can we do that. No longer should we do that. God don't want us doing it no more. It's now time to make a decision, do what we called to do, what He's been telling us to do, and do it. Do it. People of God, no longer can we do this. We are now in the place where we've now come out of it and we're shaking ourselves off. We're all free. We all are free. We all are free. I want you to think within yourself and look within yourself and say, I'm free. Say, I'm free. Just think with yourself. Say, I'm free. I'm free. I'm free. I'm free.
Free.
We no longer have to be bound about anything except our own emotions and struggles. Because we've now come to the place of saying, I accept the truth. I know the truth. I know what to do. I know what you've been telling me to do. I'm going to do it. I'm going to let nothing and no one hold me back. Enough is enough. Enough is enough. Stick with your decisions. And don't ever waver again. Because this is now the time where we say, before God, after we've made that decision, say, now what? This is the place now. So those two things, outside of the things that we're not to ever go back to, is this. In my conclusion. Two things. When we say, now what? The first one is don't ever go back to those things that kept us away from our circle becoming full. And the second one is, everything He's telling us to do and we know we're supposed to do and the decisions that we've made to obey Him, do that now. Do it now. Do that now. Those are two things. We came out of struggle and staying so far away from obeying God. And we've come out of that and shaken ourselves away from that and come to a place of freedom in our mind to obey Him. Now, the second thing is this. Do that. Stick with those decisions. So you have decisions. Decisions. Stick with it. And don't ever waver. Amen? Amen. Bless the Lord.